we're dealing with something that's completely different. And the sad part is you know, us as well as the city of Griffin, as y'all seen over the last few months, we're steadily losing this battle. And again, I want to thank y'all for giving me y'all's time.
Is there any way on a apples-to-apples kind of basis you can compare the level of our problem to other communities such as Atlanta or other communities around here?
I do. The only one that, and I like to deal in stats and numbers. The only one I can really tell you is you know, the population of Spalding County versus the population of say Clayton County is extremely, it's almost, you know, double if not higher. Mm-hmm. They through the state system have 400 validated gang members, where we have 147. If you include the areas of Clayton, Spalding, Fayette, Butts, I believe Henry, there are 1,000 validated gang members. And we've noticed an influx over the last few years, you know, especially when Clayton County started their gang unit back up. We've seen a lot of folks from Clayton County come down this way. It's really hard to say because, you know, we didn't reach out. I really didn't reach out and contact anybody else and ask them about their numbers. There's a lot of people when you start dealing with gang intel and gang information, a lot of agencies are still real guarded of theirs because they don't want to get out because of what, you know, Agent Jones said earlier is because, you know, it does get out and you start having, you know, leaks inside your stuff because you don't know who's what, when, where, and you know, that's the unfortunate part. I myself, I'm pretty much an open book. If anybody wants to come by the office, and I've got plenty of other stuff I can show y'all or talk, however y'all want to do it. So.
Good question. Do you find this issue in the classroom at the schools?
Yes, ma'am. We have an officer that teaches the CHANCE program. And not trying to speak for anybody, but I spoke to him the other day. He came to me and was talking, and he's noticed that he's seen a large influx of gang clothing, gang graffiti, hand signs.
What is the CHANCE program?
It is a program taught by the Georgia Sheriff's Association. We started teaching it in 2012. Basically, what it means is choosing healthy and making safety responsibility decisions. It's taught to the 6th graders. We teach it to all the 6th graders in Spalding County. And there's a different topic each month. Sometimes I teach twice a month. One of them is gangs. They also teach them in drug recognition, things of this nature, anything that would help make them a better citizen. And the deputy he's talking about, actually we have 2 that are instructors. They have noticed things with the kids that age, and we're talking about 6th graders, that they are showing signs of at least being aware, having information, having knowledge of gangs, and they're bringing that to school. So it is getting spread, and like I said, I don't know if it's mentioned here or not, some of the youngest members of the gang, you're talking 12, 13 years old. So they're getting it in middle schoolers. So it at least the knowledge, the information, just like what we're sharing with you here, they get it on the street. They get it in the schools.
Have we sought out any type of federal support to help us?
Well, now they have gang units with the FBI, GBI, and other areas. But the problem when you start working with them, it's like you detach someone to work with them. You'll work a large area. They won't concentrate just in Spalding County. Just like some of the other units that already formed out of the GBI, FBI, they work certain areas. Agencies put a representative with them. Now, if you've got a problem, they can come to Spalding County, but if there's a problem in Fulton County, they go up to Fulton County. Well, you won't have anybody here full time. And as far as seeking a grant, anything from the federal level, as like I say, a grant, we haven't looked into that. Like I said, the purpose of this meeting was to inform y'all of what's going on in your community. The videos you saw, that is what was made available to them, and that's what they were put together. As time goes on, if we get more information to add to this presentation, we'll do it. We don't pick the neighborhoods, we don't pick the people who are involved in this. Those people make choices. They have to face the consequences. We just want to let y'all know what's going on here, because we do want to do something to react to this. We want to be proactive. We want to get involved and stop it before it really gets started. But as you see, nationwide, gangs are getting well organized, and that's coming to Spalding County. And we want to try to be prepared. If we started today, we're behind, because we could play catch up right now with what we've got. These two guys are part-time gang investigators. When they leave here, they may have time to go back and follow up on something else gang-related, or they may go back to their normal duties. What the county needs, what the city needs, because what you saw here, it's just not a county problem. The Griffin Police Department deals with it on a regular basis, because a lot of those videos were inside the city. But one thing about it, we all know city and county boundaries. Gangs don't. Criminals don't know the boundaries. Doesn't mean a thing to them. But you might not have seen any area up there that's where you live or where you have family living. But that doesn't mean they won't come to your neighborhood to commit their burglaries, thefts, and robberies. So like I said, we're just trying to do something to help the people in Spalding County, which will hopefully help in Griffin.
Is there a sort of an approximate date at which we really knew about the existence of gangs or any sort of organized gang activity in Spalding County? I mean,
It goes back several years.
yeah.
It's more than several years.
It goes back a long way.
We started going to gang conference, black on black crime in the community in year 2000. And we asked for support from the Sheriff's Department and the Police Department at that time. Because there's been a gang problem. There's been drive-by shootings in my community and in some of the other communities within the city since then. So I'm very much aware of what's going on in my community.
And I want you to understand, we are here now, we want to do something. I can't speak about anybody else. I just said you've asked in the past for support. We're wanting to do what we can, but it's going to take resources. That's where y'all come in.
Well, that's the question. What resources can we, on this commission, provide that, would be most effective, as perhaps indicated by successes, if any, that other communities have experienced?
Well, if you'll just approve my budget, we'll be on a good start. Because we are asking this in the upcoming budget. You should see it.
I see that I hear, according to Mr. Renew's email, that you're going to be asking for other people to manage this task force. But it just seems to me that we might be better served if we act proactively. I mean, we're talking about people selling drugs. Why don't we work on the people who are using drugs? Maybe if people aren't using them, there's not going to be a buyer for that. Why don't we work on people who are being forced into prostitution and child pornography? Why don't we work on keeping those people being safe? I mean, it seems to me that if we address the source of where all these gang members are being recruited from, and we present and provide an avenue for them to take other than going into gangs, that would help the problem. Because, I mean, stopping the gang, that's just one rat running up in a hole and coming up in another spot. I mean, that's basically what you described. When you don't work over here, you move somewhere else and you open up shop there. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'm a person who would believe that there are other tactics other than trying to, put a bandage on the scab. I want to treat the infection at the source, or even stop the infection from happening. And I think that, what your proposal says does not necessarily address that, but I certainly would be willing to discuss any potential that we have for making the community safer. But I'm not quite sure that that's the answer. I wanted to also ask you guys, other than in Spalding Heights, which I know is in the county, where have you located any other areas in Spalding County where we have a large amount of violence and gang activity?
Amberwood.
Now, we'd be glad to meet with you on that.
Mm.
But it may mean giving up some confidential information. we'd be glad to meet with you individually, but I don't want to put out public meeting.
Okay, and that's fine, because I already know where it is.
Right.
I mean, that's where I live.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I see that the city is active on this. My other question is, what kind of collaboration have you had with the city of Griffin as far as what they are doing with their task force? I know that they've recently had some arrests. My other concern is this, that there is someone who is knowledgeable enough to understand that the hip-hop culture is intertwined with black culture, and that everybody who's wearing a hat on backwards is not in a gang. And then, I mean, and where do we get to the place where you recognize that that is that, and not because my son is maybe in a gang and I'm in a picture with him, or I'm at the club and I'm having a good time and I throw up my sign. Am I in a gang? So I don't have the confidence that we have the folks, the right folk, to be able to decipher that without this becoming an opportunity for racial profiling. I'm just being very honest. Okay,
And I'll try to answer all the questions I can remember all, but.
okay, I'll come and talk to you.
Like I said, as far as us identifying people, he put a list of things up there you look for. They don't just go by one or two signs or things of that nature. And even that, they do their investigation to really come up with the fact if a person is part of a illegal gang. Just because a person, like you said, wearing certain clothing, certain hats, that may be an indicator, but it may not put them in a gang. That's the way it is with anybody who do it anywhere, anytime. We don't just go by their appearance. We go by their actions. We go by whatever they may be doing, and after an investigation, then if it reveals that they're a member of a gang, okay, then they're listed as such. I agree with what you're saying about our approach. We're approaching from law enforcement. That's not going to solve the problem. The problem has got to be solved going back when you got small kids, getting them to understand not to join gangs. That's something law enforcement can't do by itself. In some cases, it might not be able to do it all. It starts in the home, starts in the school, starts in the church, starts in the community. So a lot of that is not relying just on law enforcement. It relies on a lot of the people like sitting out here, a lot of the people all throughout the community. It takes a joint effort. But when it comes to our level of what we have, what you've just seen here, that's law enforcement. Those adults, I don't know what it'll take to change their minds to get them out of the gangs. Maybe someone else got the answer. But the thing is, we're approaching it trying to make Spalding County and Griffin a safe place. We need to stop the gangs, and we need people who can put 100% of their time or their working time on that. Right now, we don't have it.
Well, I would like to make a suggestion too, excuse me. If you have the opportunity, there is an annual conference that happens on a regional level in the state of Florida. It's called Crime in the Black Community, Black on Black Crime. I suggest that you have some people to go to that.
I will, if I'm made aware of that, I was not aware of that. I'll be glad to I'm glad to send them to any kind of training that will benefit the sheriff's office, which in turn will benefit the community.
Commissioner Ray?
3 questions for you, Sheriff. How organized are the gangs in Spalding County? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being lowest, 10 being highest?
I'd say 8.
Okay.
8 and growing. The thing what we're trying to express is they understand what we're trying to accomplish today. They understand what we're trying to do. They know we're trying to form a way to defeat the problem. So what are they doing? They're changing tactics and methods and the way they're doing things to continue their criminal activity.
All right. Number 2, how critical is it in your mind that we address this issue?
I think it needs to be addressed immediately. It should have been addressed years ago,
Okay.
probably before some of y'all were even on the board. But it needs to be addressed immediately.
All right. And how far behind are we, in your mind, today on addressing the gang problem in Spalding County?
We're several years behind.
Okay.
Probably, like I mentioned, in the early 2000s, we should have had a gang unit then, and it should have been still running today.
Okay.
And you did mention about us cooperating with the Griffin Police Department. we work with them all the time. Our narcotics units work together all the time. We don't have a gang unit, so if they got officers assigned to that, of course, we might not be working with them, because we don't have anybody assigned with them. They do have meetings, and Investigator Little attends them. We gather information, share information. I am 100% in favor of working with any agency to better the community, and we'll do whatever we possibly can.
One other question. The DA's office is an integral part of this, district attorney. And in doing that, do you feel you're getting the support from the district attorney office?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are. Now they're definitely working with us. Like I said, we can't speak of in years past, but I think cooperation between the district attorney's office, sheriff's office is good at this time.
Look, is there anything that can be done with these kids you're talking about in 6th grade and younger, 12 and 13? Can't the parents be prosecuted for not doing something to these kids, trying to help these kids? I mean, you can't do it all, the school can't do it all. Parents have got, like you said, parents have got to come in and help.
As far as taking legal action, there would have to be something there of abuse, neglect, something of that nature, and that's a broad spectrum. But what we have to do is get parents to understand they should not want their kids in this type of environment. But when the parents have grown up in it and they're part of it, it presents a problem. It's not going to go away immediately. It's going to be years before, if everybody were to change today, it would be years before it would finally went away.
Yes, Sheriff Finn, do you have a memorandum of understanding with the city of Griffin that allows them to make arrests or do investigations within the county?
No, I do not, because I would have to deputize them. I have sworn in members of their narcotics unit because they work with our narcotics unit.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as swearing in the average police officer over there, I don't do that simply because, and it protects y'all too, I take responsibility for them at that time.
But it is authorized for sheriff deputies to make arrests within the city of Griffin?
Yes, ma'am. We have countywide authority. The city of Griffin, like all police departments, have jurisdiction just within the boundaries of their city.
Well, my concern is, in asking this, is that Spalding Heights, Northside Hills has been a problem for many years. And there has been difficulties with the sheriff's department policing that area, because I know that we have 250 square miles and you only have so many road patrols. I guess that's what would respond. But which makes response time pretty long if they're doing something else. And it's a difficult area to police. Drug trafficking didn't just start out there. Shooting didn't just start out there. This has been an ongoing problem. So to me, it just would say, and the same thing in Northside Drive and North Hill Street. I mean, that's been a hotbed for 15, 20 years. So I don't know, we're trying as a board to do a lot more collaboration with the city of Griffin, because the money is low, and we need to be collaborating more in order to get assistance from the outside, from state and federal. So just as a suggestion, it might be an easier venue to try, to look at creating some partnerships, because with the resources that you have at the sheriff's department, you're not going to be able to do what needs to be done in Northside Hills. You don't have the manpower. I don't know that 5 people would make a difference. I don't know that 25 people would make a difference. There's some other dynamics that need to happen. What I do know is that on Central Alley, on North Tinsley Street, in East Griffin, in Walls Alley, in the South Side, Meriwether Street, that's city all day long. South Side. So I know they have their hands full. And obviously, I don't know what kind of training they have, but they're doing some things right now that are identifying folks. But at the end of the day, I think they're also doing some community policing that is making the community more aware of who the police officers are, so that there's not this fear in trying to communicate with police officers. I think the average citizen does not want to be held hostage in their community. And I think that it's not necessarily that gangs try to communicate and do nice things for people. People aren't that shallow. But you know, if you can't stick your head out of the door, are you going to try to buck the system? So I think part of the bigger problem is making regular people feel secure enough to thwart or try and, you know, why try to tell my kid not to go out there? There's nowhere else for him to go. You know, so we got some problems on several levels, and you're absolutely right. The policing won't fix the whole thing, and it needs to be approached at a multi-level to be able to make a difference. That's all I had.
Anybody have anything else to say? Okay, gentlemen, we appreciate you coming by and your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to take about a 5 to 10 minute break.